Okay, science students, here we go. Quick explanation as to why the results for the pendulum lab came out the way they did. First two experiments we did with the pendulum, we had a shorter 30 centimeter pendulum compared to a 60 centimeter pendulum. Each one has the exact same size and mass hex nut as the weight for the bob on the pendulum. And we just wanted to compare what the swing time was. Now remember, a swing time for a pendulum was the time it would take to go out and back to complete one swing. And you can see if you just had them side by side and you just pulled them both out, you can see that the smaller one goes much faster. It's got a much shorter swing frequency going there. And that's because length makes a difference with the frequency of a pendulum. But the other two factors we wanted to test was, what if you had a heavier mass versus the lighter mass? So we have two pendulums that were side by side, that were the same length to their centers, but this one is almost 3 times more massive than that nut on there. So when we timed them, we saw that they were actually exactly the same. It didn't matter. They swung at the same rate. They had the same swing time. And the reason for that is because while this one, let's just make the numbers easy and say this one's 3 times heavier, there's 3 times more mass to it. That's 3 times the force of gravity acting on this one as there is on this one, but it's also 3 times harder to move because it has 3 times the mass. So the being 3 times more massive kind of cancels out the 3 times more force that's acting on it, so that it accelerates at the same rate. If you were to drop these, off the table onto the ground and they weren't attached to a string, if you drop them both, they would hit the ground at the same time. That's the way gravity works. So the fact that one's heavier than the other one doesn't really make a difference. The other experiment we did, we took a pendulum and we pulled it back a certain amount and we got the frequency for the swing. And then we did it where we pulled it back even farther to give it a greater angle and measure the frequency of the swing. And you can clearly see the pendulum's moving faster when it's swinging when you pull it back farther versus if you only pull it back this far, it swings slower. But that swing speed is actually the same as the greater one, the amount of time it takes to complete a swing. Watch, we can time it. I'll just pull it back to here. Ready? And I'll start it. Start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's about 15.56 seconds for 10 swings. That means it's about 1.56 seconds for one swing. By doing this 10 times, it helps cut down on my error of my reflexes for timing it. And now I'll pull it back farther. And then I'll time it again. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 15.79, so 1.57 seconds to do 10 swings at a greater angle. The only difference between this swing and the previous one is 1/100th of a second, which is well within the margin of error of me, just using my eyes to kind of gauge when to start and stop the stopwatch. So the reason for that is, yeah, it's swinging faster here. If it's double the distance, it's double the speed, it's still going to be the same average. Yeah, it's going twice as fast, but it's got to go twice as far now also. So gravity pulls everything down at the same rate if you don't have any wind resistance. And the swing arc, if you make it bigger, yeah, it's going to go faster, but it also has to go farther, and that cancels out too. So if you have to do one of those CERs, which my kids do, that's why these two things are the factors that don't affect the pendulum swing. The factors that don't affect it are the angle and the mass. The only thing that does affect it is how long the pendulum actually is. There you go. Have a good rest of your day. Okay, bonus track. Here we go. I'm going to do one more example with the different weights. Here I have a heavy brass weight for a plumb bob, And I'm just gonna time one swing with this using the stopwatch because I don't feel like doing 10 again. I'm gonna swing this from here and I'm gonna time it one time. So let me reset my stopwatch and I'm gonna let it go once. I'm gonna start it and 3.07 seconds. It's about what I got there. You guys can see that. And let me reset this. 3.07. Now I'm gonna take the weight off and just swing the cap. Ready? We'll get it going one time. And 3.12. So 0.05 of a second difference. And this is significantly, remarkably less mass than having this thing attached to it too. So you can see the mass on the weight doesn't make a difference in the pendulum swing speed. Thanks. Have a good one.